Jay Hamilton back at the ALEC annual meeting in Austin, Texas, talking to Ian Adams of Tech Freedom. You're here wearing a number of hats, but the one that I wanted to concentrate on today was the autonomous vehicle issue. Why are you here? What impact does it have? What's the state's role?
Absolutely. Well, it's an exciting time for transportation generally, but these technologies are set to revolutionize the way that people get around. Of course, for years and years and years, we've been reliant on human drivers to actually navigate city streets, but we have an opportunity now to enjoy the environmental benefits, to enable people who are otherwise not able to have transportation and mobility really begin to reintegrate with society. And so the questions are about how are these vehicles going to be regulated? What is the oversight going to look like? There are insurance questions, and so states have a really important role to play in this space in shaping the future of transportation.
Challenges, I guess, insurance-wise, is if there's an accident, what's the cost?
Absolutely, yeah, and we've got, it's not a one-size-fits-all sort of an answer, because all of these technologies are so different, and these cars are being updated all of the time, and so the question is, how is liability going to land? How are we going to rate these vehicles prior to any sorts of accident? And I should say, I mean, this technology is going to revolutionize safety.
Right.
That's the big difference. When you consider that 93% of accidents are a result of driver error, right? If you're removing the human driver from the equation, or at least mitigating the role that they play, you're going to be saving people's lives.
And of course, communities have already have autonomous vehicles on the roads.
Yeah.
What do you think is sort of the hurdle that needs to happen now? Is it still the technology portion?
Right.
Is it the regulation portion, or is it the combination?
I think it's a combination of those things, but I will say that public acceptance is probably just as important, because at the end of the day, people are so accustomed to driving around on their own and being in control that it's going to be very, very different to have a vehicle drive you around as a chauffeur. And I must say, having been in these vehicles, the actual phenomenon, you're just bored. You're just bored out of your mind, because they're the most conservative drivers that you've ever been with. So I think public acceptance is a big deal, but there are regulatory hurdles that states have to be cognizant of. They have to make sure they're not being prescriptive about the way in which these vehicles are developed. I think that's a really big deal, just because we've seen all kinds of innovations on the technological side that are going to lead to safety benefits, environmental benefits, commercial benefits that we couldn't have otherwise contemplated, and that's been allowed to happen because states, particularly states that take an ALEC approach to a lot of these questions, have been very permissive in their approach.
Well, that's good.
Yeah.
Because you would think that they don't necessarily want to be the first to test things out.
Right.
So getting that mindset away from almost having an entrepreneurial spirit from a state standpoint is important.
Yeah, I think that's right. And ensuring that people understand that you can have a permissive entrepreneurial approach to regulation while still protecting the public.
Right.
Because that means when things happen, taking a close look at specific instances, instead of regulating an entire industry prescriptively and prospectively, importantly prospectively, looking at concrete examples of where things might have happened, where things can be improved, and following up on those. And that's been more of an ALEC state approach.
Right. This is a crystal ball question. How far away are we from, more of a mass acceptance of autonomous vehicles?
Boy, if I knew the answer to that, I would be at one of these big companies doing quite well for myself, I'm sure. No, I mean, it's one of those things where what's going to be fascinating is the technology is going to be here one day, and it's not going to be like you're going to see one or two of these vehicles on the street. You're going to see a firm bringing like 400 vehicles to an airport, and they're going to be everywhere the next day. I don't know when that day is, but they're going to be everywhere, and it's going to be soon.
It may start with rental cars.
Yeah,
that's usually
right?
the way you're forced to get a rental car.
Precisely.
Final, your message, I think you've explained it before, but being from Tech Freedom, your message to the states, obviously being open-minded, but what's your message to state legislators here at the ALEC annual meeting?
Well, I think it's important that state legislators, they have constituents who are understandably concerned about the way that their lives are being impacted by technology. I think in this moment in particular, when you look at large firms and you think about the way sort of tech is being perceived in the national media, it's going to be vital for those legislators to have a really circumspect approach, because it's not just in this moment that the decisions that they make to sort of move the direction of technology will be impacting their constituents. They need to be thinking about the effect 20, 30, 50 years from now. some of these decisions.
Great. Ian Adams of Tech Freedom. How can people find out more information? You have a website?
We do. We techfreedom.org. You can find us there, and then of course on Twitter we have quite the following and quite the account. So I would say at Tech Freedom, please do follow us.
Exciting to find out how the autonomous vehicle issue progresses.